everyone, so today I'm coming to you with a different style of video, and I've also changed up the background a little bit, just fancied a little change. I am doing the chronic illness tag. It's got 12 questions in it, and I thought it would be a good idea so that you guys can get to know me a little bit better and maybe understand a bit more of what goes on behind the scenes when I'm not filming. So I'll just get straight into the questions. Number 1, what are you diagnosed with? I am diagnosed with pernicious anemia, which is separated into 3 categories, and hypothyroidism. So I'll just give a little explanation so that you can understand what they are a bit better. Pernicious anemia, like I said, is separated into 3 categories. That's a vitamin B12 deficiency, a folic acid deficiency, and an iron deficiency. When I first got diagnosed, I had all 3. Since becoming vegan, I'm not iron deficient anymore, and they also said my folic levels were good as well the last time I went to the doctors, so I am not on that medication either. I just have B12 injections every 8 weeks. A vitamin B12 deficiency is when your red blood cells are misshapen. The production of red blood cells decreases so that there's not enough oxygen getting around your blood, and this is why it causes tiredness, as the oxygen doesn't circulate as well around your body. So it says here, pernicious anemia is an autoimmune condition that affects your stomach as well. So I can't take things like ibuprofen because it can affect your stomach and eat away at the lining of it. It's an autoimmune condition, which means your immune system attacks your body's healthy cells, which means your body is unable to absorb B12. So it's not because I'm vegan. I had it well before I was even vegetarian, so it's nothing to do with eating more meat and you get your vitamin B12. Hypothyroidism as well is the thyroid gland is around here, and I notice it when I'm editing my vlogs as well. It looks like I've got more of a double chin than I actually do, because I think the doctor said my thyroid had swelled about 30% the size that it should be. So it's a gland that's a small butterfly shape. Its main function is to produce hormones that help regulate the body's metabolism, and an underactive thyroid, which is what I have, is when it doesn't produce enough hormones, so your metabolism is slowed down. It causes weight gain, causes you to be lethargic. It affects you in a lot of ways. I'll go through the symptoms in a little minute. It just says many of the body's functions slow down when the thyroid doesn't produce enough of these hormones. So that's just a little description. I was going to go through the symptoms as well. I had made this video before, but I didn't want it. It had like a negative tone to the video, and I didn't want that. I want this to bring awareness, but also let people know that it's not the be all and end all of your life like I thought it was when I first got diagnosed. You can function well with these invisible illnesses, and there is hope out there. So I want a positive spin on this video in case anyone else is going through the same thing as me. But I'll just go through the symptoms of what I felt. Fatigue, weakness, weight gain, difficulty losing weight, coarse dry hair, dry rough pale skin, hair loss, cold intolerance, muscle aches, brain fog. These are just the ones that I've had as well, there's a lot more. Memory loss, slow movements and thoughts, depression. Your nails as well can get really brittle. Pain, numbness and a tingling sensation in the hands or fingers. A lot of the symptoms between hypothyroidism and pernicious anemia are the same. When I first got diagnosed with pernicious anemia, I was being sick a lot. I felt really dizzy. I would pass out. A loss of appetite as well. Question number 2, what do you tend to do when you can't sleep? So with my chronic illnesses, it means that I am more tired and I do sleep a lot. Sometimes I go through strange cycles where I have insomnia for a few nights, or I used to be in a really bad habit of not being able to sleep till the early hours of the morning and then not being able to get up till the afternoon. So when that kind of thing would happen and I would go through insomnia stages, I would play on my phone, watch YouTube videos, just try and entertain myself, read a book, stuff like that. Number 3, what's the worst experience or side effect you've had from a medication? I don't think this really applies to me. My medication hasn't affected me in a bad way ever. There was a time where I was trying to get my thyroid medication correct, because they have to start you off with a dose and then increase it and then test your blood to see if it's at the correct level yet. They were playing about with the type of dosage I was on, and I actually went overactive, which I found was a lot worse, but that wasn't due to medication, that was just my thyroid ended up overproducing for a while. Number 4, how has your condition impacted your mental health? So this is part of the video I didn't want to have a negative side to it. It has affected my mental health quite a bit. I developed depression and anxiety, which is hard to say out loud because a lot of people that I know don't know that I've experienced this, but it's under control. I feel really good. It's just in the winter time when it's like gets darker earlier at nights and dark in the mornings when you go to work, I notice a decline, but it's all under control and taken care of. I would say at the moment my mental health is pretty good, but it has in the past been quite bad. Number 5, describe your social life. So this one, I used to never go out. I would be too tired or convince myself that I was too tired. With illnesses I do have, it's hard to know whether you're being lazy or whether you just actually can't because of your illnesses, and then if I push myself too hard it knocks me back for a couple of days feeling fatigued and everything. So my social life just now, I am saying yes more when people ask if I want to go out. I just have like a small circle of friends that I stick to, people at work that I like to go out with. I'm pretty happy with my social life. I don't like going out too much anyway. Number 6, what's the hardest thing to do when you're flaring? I would say the hardest thing is getting up in the mornings. I notice when I'm due my B12 jag, I am finding it a lot harder to get up. I actually got my B12 jag yesterday, so it's not quite kicked in yet, but luckily I'm on annual leave from work, so it doesn't matter as much. You just feel totally drained even though you've had a full night's sleep, so that's the worst part. Number 7, do you have worries for the future? I used to when my mental health was quite bad. I used to worry about my future children because this is a genetic illness. My mum has the same issues with thyroid and pernicious anemia, and then so did my granddad and his grandmother, so it goes back quite a few generations. However, it is manageable and it wouldn't put me off having children because I'll be able to give advice and help them through any tough times that they might have. So that's the only worry for the future. And also thyroid, the issues that come with that can be infertility. I'm not worried about that at the moment because I'm sure it'll work out. Number 8, favourite comfort food. It's not a comfort food, but a comfort drink is energy juice. I started drinking that when I was first feeling the symptoms before I got diagnosed, which was when I was 16, so that's like 10 years ago, and it's just turned into a habit that it's kind of like a reward for getting up in the morning, that I'll reward myself with an energy juice and convince myself that it'll work to wake me up, but it really doesn't. It's not a good habit to have, so I actually have cut down, and also I'm still drinking energy juice but I'm on the sugar-free stuff, so it's not as much sugar for my body because I noticed negative side effects with that as well. So yeah, not a comfort food but a comfort drink. 9, tell us a valuable lesson you've learned from being sick. I think just don't be too hard on yourself, but also don't baby yourself. It's a hard balance. I don't know how to describe it. I always used to guilt trip myself for not being able to do enough because I'd put lots of pressure on myself to get things done, but you just need to take it slow, take it at your own pace, and eventually you'll get there. I've taken the long route of getting a degree, for example, but I do have an honours degree and it might not have been the most conventional way to get it, but I got there in the end. So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. Number 10, name 3 things that were taken from you because of your illness. It doesn't really matter now, but I used to be really smart. Things came easy to me, and then when I was getting symptoms of B12 and everything throughout high school, I ended up being off a lot, off sick, and then my grades would obviously drop, and I found it harder than I had before to keep up with things like that. I would say my education was kind of taken from me, but I got there in the end. Like I said before, I don't want to be hard on myself. I didn't go straight to uni after high school, but I went to college and then I did the Open University and got a degree that way, so it doesn't really matter anymore that I had a bad experience at the latter end of high school. I remember in high school as well, a lot of friends. At first when you're ill, everyone's concerned, and then because you're still ill, like months later, it's kind of becomes old news. The people that truly mattered didn't do this, so it doesn't matter anyway. But a lot of friends in high school were taken from me, mostly because my illness was old news, and when I was off a lot at school I missed out on stuff. 10 years later, it's not a big deal. I don't care anymore. I don't think anything's been taken from me. That's kind of being really negative. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. So number 11, how old were you when you first started experiencing symptoms? So I was 15 and I would be experiencing the fatigue and brain fog, being sick all the time, fainting, things like that. It was under control, and then I think I was 20 when I got diagnosed with the hypothyroidism, which kind of had the same symptoms, so I always thought it was my B12 jag wasn't working as well, and then it turned out to be a thyroid issue. And last but not least, number 12, 3 things that people say that get to you. Okay, number 1, you look tired today. I hate when that happens. Yes, I'm always tired. That's just how it is. They're not meaning to be nasty or anything, so I don't mind. I remember at school teachers wouldn't understand either, and they'd be like, oh, will you be in tomorrow? As if I could control how I was going to feel tomorrow. I just fancied a little skive off school. Like that used to be my bugbear when teachers would ask that. Another thing I can think of that happened recently is when I was booking my B12 appointment at the doctor's. Someone was like, oh, B12, what's that? Energy? Oh, I'm needing some of that. It's a different kind of tiredness that people go through, and people that don't have it don't understand how fatigued you get. You just think, oh, you're a little bit tired, it's okay. However, I am coping really well, so I don't want to be negative about it. It was just some things that people say, and it's just because they don't understand. It's not a big deal. That's the end of the video. I hope you guys learned a little bit more about pernicious anemia and underactive thyroid, and a little bit more about me. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow for another video.